Hello everyone, this is Crypto BitLaw, back with another blockchain legal brief, and today we're going to discuss how a popular crypto staking and lending platform was recently ordered to cease and desist by a state agency. But before we dive in, please, if you enjoy this content, hit that like button and subscribe to our channel. We'd really appreciate that. And with that said, let's jump right on in. Alright, so here we could see that Cointelegraph reports that Voyager was ordered by New Jersey to, quote, cease and desist. New Jersey's move is just the latest in a series of orders and complaints against crypto-based interest-bearing account issuers in the United States. They say, the New Jersey Bureau of Securities has issued a cease and desist order against Voyager Digital for selling unregistered securities through its Voyager Earn program. Voyager Digital is a centralized crypto-based staking, trading, and lending platform. The order claims that each of the crypto staking and lending accounts issued through the program since 2019 are unregistered securities because of their promise of interest rates as high as 12%. The Bureau cites as evidence for the claim messages on Voyager's homepage encouraging users to, quote, grow your portfolio and journey to the new frontier of investing. New Jersey claims that about 52,800 accounts and $187 million in assets are from users based in the state. Out of roughly 1.5 million active accounts and $5 billion in assets on Voyager in total. And as we can see here is a copy of the New Jersey Bureau of Securities cease and desist order to Voyager Digital. Voyager's marketing tactics were also criticized, with the regulators stating promotions for the program failed to disclose that Voyager's parent company, Voyager Digital, LLC, is a publicly traded company in Canada, not the US. The order claims that this, quote, creates a misleading impression with respect to Voyager Digital, LLC's regulatory status. The Bureau also alleges that while Voyager claimed to be licensed, it was only licensed in some states to act as a, quote, money services business, which the Bureau states does not allow for the sale of unregistered securities. It added the claim, quote, may convey the misleading impression to unsophisticated investors that Voyager is licensed to offer and sell such securities. At least 5 other states, Alabama, Oklahoma, Texas, Kentucky, and Vermont, have slapped Voyager with various orders or demanded the company explain how it is not issuing unregistered securities if it wishes to stay in business in their respective states. This incident is one in a growing list of such cases or orders against crypto companies that offer interest-bearing accounts to users. In February, crypto lending platform BlockFi was hit with a similar cease and desist order from Washington State and a $100 million penalty for selling unregistered securities in the form of interest-bearing accounts. Last September, the Securities and Exchange Commission threatened to sue crypto exchange Coinbase if it launched its long-awaited Coinbase Lend program. This program would have resembled BlockFi and Voyager's interest-bearing accounts for crypto lenders. At the time, Coinbase CEO Brian Armstrong called the SEC's behavior, quote, really sketchy, as the threat came without any legal overtures. Turning to a CoinDesk article on the same topic, we could see an explanation of Voyager's response to this issue. They say, the investment firm said in a statement on Wednesday that it is aware of or has received cease and desist orders from the state securities divisions of Indiana, Kentucky, New Jersey, and Oklahoma, and orders to show cause or similar orders from the state securities divisions of Alabama, Texas, Vermont, and Washington. Voyager said it is in talks with the regulators to better understand the orders and clarify the statements it believes are inaccurate. When effective, the orders will stop the firm from offering new accounts or accepting new assets for its Earn program. The company expects to receive a transition period before the orders come into effect. Quote, Voyager is firmly convinced that its Earn program and the Voyager Earn accounts are not securities and intends to demonstrate its position and defend it as necessary and appropriate. Of course, Voyager supports appropriate regulation and will do its best to demonstrate to these regulators that Voyager has complied with the law, the company said. Now, before continuing, I think it's important to kind of just do a brief overview of the tactics and techniques that these crypto staking and lending firms engage in order to obtain yields for their customers and investors. And here is a copy of a crypto briefing article. It's entitled How Centralized Crypto Lenders Obtain High Yields for Customers. Centralized crypto lenders tend to mimic traditional banks with their lending approach, but with a lot more generosity towards clients. And the skinny on is that crypto lenders are applying known strategies from TradFi, or traditional finance, to obtain attractive yields and low fees for their customers. High yields come with the potential cost of increased regulatory scrutiny, smart contract vulnerabilities, and systemic financial risk. They say users of crypto lending platforms should ask themselves, where does their crypto go? How can these companies offer such high returns? And where does the risk stand? We first have to understand how banks operate to pay interest on savers' balances. Simply put, banks lend out the money sitting in the depositors' accounts and charge more interest than they pay to clients. Banks use the funds deposited to lend to borrowers who pay interest on their loans. After paying for various costs, the banks pay interest to depositors. The difference between the low rate that banks pay and the high rate earned is the spread, or the bank's margin. With this business model, banks have conditioned their clients to earn low returns on their money and play a zero-sum game. On the other hand, although centralized crypto lenders mimic bank accounts with their business methodology, they follow a more generous approach. Crypto lenders use clients' coins transferred to the platform to engage in yield-generating activities and pay generous rewards. The main difference between banks and centralized exchanges is the amount of value that goes back to the community. Generally, crypto lenders can lend out 100% of clients' collateral money, while clients can only borrow 25% of its value. This over-collateralization lets them charge low rates on large loans to pay high rates on small deposits. In traditional finance, they call this practice rehypothecation. It means that banks or brokers use clients' collateral to generate additional yields. In exchange, users can enjoy lower borrowing costs or fee rebates. It's important to note that users mainly take loans from crypto lenders to delay capital gains tax or cover a short-term cash need. As previously mentioned, loans are only offered at 25% loan to value. This means that to borrow $2,000, you must put up $8,000 in collateral. This way, the exchange ensures that the loan is 100% safe on their end, and there is no risk of the borrower defaulting. However, if a customer takes out a loan using crypto as collateral, they will no longer earn yield. The lender no longer has to pay interest on that $8,000 collateral, and it can lend out further to generate yield at an industry average of 10 to 20% APY. While the exact investments that crypto lending platforms use to offer high yields depends on deposits are not clear, some lenders disclose investing clients' holdings in equities and futures to generate yield. To the present date, we haven't seen a notorious example of an institutional crypto lending failure. If we ever experienced such a scenario of loan default, that could bring cascading failures throughout the crypto industry. That's why regulators often talk about the systemic financial risk that crypto poses. This partial lack of transparency has caught the attention of regulators. In the US, some agencies like the SEC have even tagged these products as securities by applying the Howey test. And this strikes back right to the heart of what we were discussing today, how this Voyager platform engages in this type of activity, but was recently tagged by a state agency in New Jersey for violating their securities laws, which are grounded in the Howey test. And for those that are unfamiliar, let's just review the Howey test one more time. It seems like it's becoming a very common theme on this channel. And the Howey test is a test established by the Supreme Court that lays out 4 different elements or criteria to determine whether an investment contract exists and whether that asset is considered a security. And so in order to be deemed a security, it needs to fit 4 different requirements, them being 1, an investment of money, 2, in a common enterprise, 3, with the expectation of profit, 4, to be derived from the effort or work of others. And so if your investment contract or your asset fits all 4, checks off all 4 of those boxes, boom, more likely than not, you're going to be considered a security. So just to give some final closing points and to wrap everything up, to me, it seems like it's almost kind of like a shakedown with these state agencies coming and slapping fines and cease and desist orders on these lending platforms to try to eke out money to puff up their budgets. In a sense, I think what's interesting here is that we have this dichotomy or bifurcation where the SEC has recently taken a lead position in fining or reacting to a lot of these different crypto lending platforms. Like, for example, I think a month or two ago, the BlockFi fine that came down at a few $100 million from the SEC for issuing unlicensed securities with their crypto lending platform that pretty much essentially does the same thing as Voyager. And now we're seeing the states start to step in with their state agencies that have overlapping jurisdiction with the SEC to pretty much regulate and enforce the same type of behavior. And so, these two agencies, state agencies and the federal agency, the SEC, they're really kind of fighting the same battle in absence of any clear regulation or clear legislation that would seek to guide and regulate this new type of company, this new type of business, these crypto lending platforms. And until Congress steps in and does their job and creates a clear and concise framework to regulate these entities, we're going to continue to see this type of squabbling between state and federal agencies and these lending platforms regarding how they operate and the safeguards and measures that need to be taken on their behalf in order to operate in compliance with the law. So all in all, I think this was another interesting development in this space. Hopefully you guys learned something and enjoyed this content. And if you did, please hit that like button, subscribe to our channel. We'd really appreciate that. And with that said, thanks again for watching, and we'll see you all in the next video.